Guys, let's give Roberto Blake a round of applause. Come on, Roberto.
Thank you so much, Chris. Hey, how's everybody doing today? You know the correct answer to that was awesome, right? For those of you who might be familiar, actually show of hands, who actually is familiar with my content? Ever seen a YouTube video? Ever heard my podcast? Anything like that? Okay, quite a few of you. Nice. That's super flattering. How many of you have never heard of me in your life? That's devastating. That's the far majority of you. Well, now you have. We're going to change that. So my name is Roberto Blake. I am the founder of Awesome Creator Academy, which is a digital online platform I made myself for entrepreneurs and creative professionals. For those of you who want some more context on me as far as YouTube, I started doing YouTube seriously in 2013. Like most people, I did a channel back maybe in 2009 and did nothing with it. Did like maybe, 5 uploads a year? You can't really call yourself a YouTuber if you're doing 5 uploads a year. And I also didn't really know how I wanted to use YouTube at the time. I came from the era of the old internet. I may not look it, but I'm 33. I've been doing the internet for about 2 decades, more than 2/3 of my very short life so far. That being said, I remember the days of AOL. Anyone remember that? Anybody here a survivor of Angel Fire, Lycos, and GeoCities? Yep, yeah, you guys know the struggle. So I came from that world where this idea that you could host gigs upon gigs of free videos on the internet is completely an absurd idea. So this thing called YouTube comes along in my 20s, and I'm sitting there in my friend Malcolm's kitchen, and we're watching all these old Super Bowl ads, and we're watching this this great funny ad skit called Terrible Terry Tate Office Linebacker. Anybody remember that? Yes. Like hilarious. Still, I think some of the best content that was ever on the platform, right? So mostly we're watching commercials on YouTube, and this is like in 2006. You'll hear like a lot of people say things like, oh, well, no one goes to YouTube to watch ads, and they click off ads and things of that nature. And the funny thing is, one of my first and one of my happiest experiences as a viewer on YouTube was just watching these old Super Bowl and banned from TV ads and these funny commercials from other countries that people were uploading to this site for free. And it was mind-blowing. So you fast forward to 2013, I started uploading tutorials on video editing and Photoshop. I have no ambitions of being a big YouTuber. I just know that I'm a little bit rogue, and there's no way I'm gonna become a college professor with tenure, and I wanna pass on and teach a skill that gave me a career. That's just how I've always been. I always learn something, and then I want to teach other people, and I want them to be as excited about it as I am. I'm making my friends and family's ears bleed whenever I want to talk about Photoshop or graphic design or about video editing and codecs. So maybe, just maybe, there's a bunch of nerds on the internet that are just as stupid excited about this as I am. And go figure, it actually works. And I'm not worried at the time about growing an audience or building subscribers or monetization. I'm just really glad that people want to learn a skill that gave me a career, the thing that as a freelancer is allowing me to make money and make a living, and it also is bringing in some additional clients for me. Fast forward to today. I've done over 1,000 videos on YouTube since 2013. And on other platforms, I've done over 1,000 live streams. In, I think, the summer of 2015, I did my very first speaking engagement, partly because of my YouTube channel. I think at the time I had maybe 20,000, 30,000 subscribers. Started my career as a public speaker. I have done over 60 public speaking presentations since 2015, and is owed to the fact that I have a presence on YouTube that allowed me to communicate my expertise, my knowledge, my skills, and my interest, and my ability to communicate information in a meaningful, accessible, digestible way without being boring. So that actually was something that let me meet so many tremendous, amazing people. I get to be here with all of you because YouTube let me reach one person that was in a position to offer me an opportunity. And I think that what gets lost in the scramble for views and subscribers and acknowledgement and all of these vanity numbers is that just one view could be the right view. One view is the client that writes a $10,000 check. One view is the client that brings you to a speaking engagement. One view is the first person to decide to give you a sponsorship deal, and it might change your entire life. Just one view. One view might be somebody with a bigger audience that you can imagine that shares your video and it goes viral. The thing that everybody thinks they want, and the thing that a lot of people will DM me on Twitter crying to me about because they went viral for the last thing they wanted to be known for the rest of their life. True story. So, context on me. I am a creative entrepreneur. I mostly make my money outside of YouTube, but I leverage YouTube the way that anybody leverages podcasting, the way anybody leverages television, the way anyone leverages being a best-selling author. I commoditize attention. I take attention from a very specific group of people, a niche audience. I build a community, and then at some point, there is value that comes back to me based on the value I give. YouTube is a place of meritocracy, but it's also a place where karma is actually a real thing and not some fluffy notion that people make ironic t-shirts about. So a lot of people have said to me, well, that's great for you, Roberto, but it's not 2013, it's 2018. We have the YouTube Ad Pocalypse, which was a boycott that got going in 2017 in response to a lack of advertiser confidence in the platform, or perceived lack of advertiser confidence in the platform, because when you have an open platform that allows people to upload whatever they want, they upload whatever they want. And there are a lot of people who abuse and take advantage of this amazing gift and thing that we call YouTube. This amazing gift that we have of a free and open internet. And when advertisers are putting money into this in the same way they put money into television, the difference is, with television, they know exactly more or less what they're getting. With YouTube, they're kind of going into an auction marketplace that's a blind buy, and they're kind of getting a lot of these online properties lumped in with the big properties of the people that they say, gee, I want all of these eyeballs and all of these views, but also because there are no regulations in YouTube, everyone here can make whatever content they want and nobody's gonna make them sign off on it, nobody's gonna give them any red tape. Even when they know which creators they're buying into, they have no idea when or if these creators will do something they don't like, or that's a little rogue, or may not align with their brand's sensibilities. And so, 2017, a lot of people thought that YouTube was over. 2018, with a lot of policy changes, a lot of people still think YouTube is over. I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna go on the record here. It has literally never been a better time to be a YouTube creator. It has never been a better time to be on YouTube if you're not soft. Okay, start now. Start today. Is there anyone here who hasn't started a YouTube channel yet that's in this room? Show of hands. Start today.
What is soft? You said it's not soft.
Soft. I'm qualifying that from the perspective of somebody who's a track and cross country athlete, somebody who's a runner. And so my version of being soft is not having the mental discipline and fortitude to show up every day and suffer. So if anybody is not interested and not excited about showing every day and sweating and suffering and leaving your heart on the field just to be 5 seconds faster like I did for the majority of high school, that's my definition of soft, just so we're clear on that. Because YouTube in my mind is literally being a track or cross country athlete. It's literally being a musician. It's literally being a painter, because in my mind, that's a lot of the people who come to YouTube are creative people. A lot of them are people who have an entrepreneurial spirit in them, if they're serious. A lot of other people are coming here to seek vanity and attention and quick cash and fame, and in my mind those people are soft and they're not gonna probably make it, because I think when you're seeking those things, you don't have the mental discipline and the intestinal fortitude to truly make a 5-year commitment to something before you see results. Because anyone here who's ever been involved in a brick and mortar business understands that the idea that you would be profitable or even sustainable in the first 2 years of a venture is absurd. Granted, it happens in digital entrepreneurship all the time, but that makes people feel that they are entitled to it without putting in the sweat equity or realizing that those are exceptions to the rule. Those are the top 10% of people who are the best of the best. Those are the top 1%. Those are the 0.1%, the 0.01%. Everybody a lot of times comes to this platform and they think they're PewDiePie, and they think that they have that level of ability and that they've got the timing right. Everybody thinks thinks that they're the next this one or that one, and everyone like thinks that because like, you know, Peter McKinnon, a creator that I admire a lot, made it to over 1.6 million subscribers in just 1 year. I hate to break it to them, they're not Peter McKinnon. They ain't got the talent, they ain't got the hustle, and they don't have the decade plus of experience behind a camera that made Peter McKinnon before 12 months ago, when no one in this room ever heard of him. Whereas no one 12 months ago out there for the viewing audience in YouTube, guys never knew who Peter McKinnon was just a year ago. He didn't come out of nowhere. He was grinding and his hands in the dirt for 10 years to become the person who was capable of that execution. And you're gonna pick up the ball today and think you're gonna dunk on people? I'm afraid not. So that being said, start today. Start today, do not be discouraged. Don't worry about saturation. Don't worry about the ad revenue. Don't worry about the fact that everyone's bigger than you. Do not worry about what your neighbor is doing. Keep your head down, run your own race, run it at your own pace, and just beat your last time. Just beat your last time. I will never be satisfied with getting a gold medal in a race where I'm 30 seconds slower. I'd rather be 5 seconds faster and get a bronze. I don't want to beat the other guy, I want to beat me. I want to be my best. So what does it take to grow on YouTube? We got all of that out of the way. You guys are committed, you guys are in, right? Is there anybody who was on the fence that's actually going to do this now? Like anybody? Okay, so for the rest of you who are like, was there anybody who was on the fence about this at all? Okay, good. So we've got people who are committed. Thank you. I appreciate that. What it takes to be successful on YouTube is creativity, consistency, and context. Let me put that into perspective. The creativity part. What is your unique value? Yes, there are about maybe 15 million or more active uploaders on the platform. Conservatively, if you want to see like who might be like really invested in this, you could say 6 million, the 6 million people who have 100 subscribers or more, okay? How are you going to stand out from them? Well, it's simple. You're going to do it by being authentic, you're going to do it by being real, and even if you're tackling something that has already been tackled, real estate, beauty, developing your business, marketing, anybody here, is there anybody here that wants to do family related content? Anybody here who is specifically, it's like, well, your family has something different about it than everybody else's. Your family has a completely different internal culture, a different cast of characters. You know, it's not an accident that people growing up in the 90s like me watched. Anybody here used to watch Step by Step? When it like step by step, day by day. Yeah, anybody like, so anybody here used to watch Full House? Anybody here used to watch Family Matters? Boy Meets World? Okay, like different cast of characters, different family to get attached to, different set of circumstances, different life experiences. Watching The Wonder Years is still different than watching Boy Meets World, is still different than watching Family Members, still different than watching Step by Step. You have a different type of relationship with the family in that series, okay? And it's the same thing with any other content on YouTube, is that the individual, the top YouTubers all have something very interesting in common. They have a unique and dynamic personality that resonates with a specific type of viewer. And it's funny because with all of the billions of people on the internet, there's probably an audience for you. If you think it's impossible or so very difficult to get 1,000 people, 10,000 people, even 100,000 people, what I would challenge you to do is to remember this. For the thing that is unique about you, or the thing that you're uniquely interested in, if you come to the platform with that instead of trying to be generic clone X of what you think is popular, you have a much better chance of attracting the few thousand people that are crazy, stupid, excited about the same things that you're crazy, stupid, excited about to you, if you show up in your authentic and genuine and you do it your way and not the same way that some other big YouTuber or big Instagrammer or celebrity or personality did, because no one's interested in a knockoff of them when they can have the original. So just do that. It's easy to say just be yourself, but I think it's also the most wildly practical, marketable thing there is, because everyone wants unique intrinsic value. And the thing is, the bigger people get, honestly, there's a disconnect with them and their audience at a certain point. There's a lack of intimacy and there's a lack of an ability to relate. Who you are as an individual might be underserved or unrepresented in a marketplace of millions of people, and you wouldn't have a clue about it because you haven't gone there yet. So that's what creativity looks like. Consistency. My YouTube channel grew exponentially when I made a commitment to doing daily content, which I don't recommend you do without a doctor's note. And I'm not even joking. That one got some laughs, but I'm not joking. It's a serious commitment, and I'll tell you how you can do that. But the reality is that consistency matters. But it's not just down to uploading frequently or every day or 3 times a week, which is the recommended minimum. It's also about, if you make a commitment and a promise to your audience that you're going to upload on Wednesday or on Friday, it's about honoring that promise to the best of your ability. There's also a matter of consistency in your type of content. What I'll see a lot of people do is keep throwing up stuff and seeing what sticks, instead of committing to, you know what, I really love Harry Potter, and I'm going to do content about Harry Potter. That's who you are. In my case, I love creativity and entrepreneurship and technology and how that helps us get where we want to go in the world, how we use these things to better ourselves. For the sake of argument, you could say personal growth, personal development, but in the context of building yourself and the thing that you're passionate about into a business. That's what I really care about. So regardless of what content I put on my channel, it has that underlying theme and message. Even if the content is variety, even if it's diverse, the message is consistent. The value proposition is consistent. And that is what retains people's loyalty, excitement, and interest, and how you hold their attention. If you decide that you're going to commit to a specific day, commit to that specific day. If you're going to make a certain type of content, stick with the thing that you know that you're good at and that you're excited about, and do not worry about what is popular. Your people will find you. You can build that community. It's the same with many of you with your podcast. You wonder if anybody's listening, but you're making the show that you would listen to, and guess what? The interesting thing happens. You find out you're not alone. There's a lot of us that feel that there's nobody who gets us and understands us, but statistically, with 7 billion people on the planet and about roughly 2.8 billion of them on the internet at this point, the odds are ever in your favor. So consistency matters. Showing up every day matters. If you want results, if you want to get something out of something, keep putting in the work. I have produced over 1,000 videos, and yes, it did net me the results of 20 million lifetime views, 290,000 subscribers, etc., etc. And I have homies who have done the same thing with 50 or 100 videos. I'm not them. Their version of consistency was once a week, and that was enough to get them much further. If they had done 1,000, they'd be at millions. It's just a matter of what relatively works for your audience. I have an audience that's probably mostly reflective of the age range of people in this room, professionals. People usually between 24 and 45 love my content. 14-year-olds, not so much, because they'd have to learn stuff and work hard. Not thinking they're that excited about it. So, that's the game. Context. What I just talked about is a matter of context. Context absolutely matters. Who are you making content for? Why should they care? You know what I hear from a lot of people when they decide to be content creators? Well, I think I should have more views or subscribers because I work so hard on the content. I want to disabuse you of a simple notion. I want to reveal a very painful truth to you. No one cares how hard you worked. Everyone here has a finite amount of time. If you are not getting value out of something, do you really care how hard someone worked to waste your time? You want that 5 or 10 minutes for something that you care about, right? So there's nothing wrong with, as a viewer, us saying that we don't care how hard someone worked on content, because them working hard on something they care about doesn't mean that we care about it as a viewer. It doesn't mean that that person who worked hard on that cat video, that worked hard in that prank video, is entitled to that 15 minutes of our life. I want to throw that somewhere else. Maybe some of you want that 15 minutes to spend time with your kid. Maybe some of you want to spend the next half hour mowing the lawn because you really actually enjoy it, and it's your, time to be away from all the other things, and it's your way of meditating. Like, I've heard weirder things, it's fine. That being said, the creation of content has to be predicated on giving value to the viewer and knowing that that doesn't mean that that value translates to every single human being on the planet. There's a little bit of humility necessary to survive content creation on YouTube and understand that the people who care about this thing will watch. And if that's 10 people, that's 10 human beings you created value for. That is not a small thing. There are a lot of people. There's maybe, I think, 100 people in this room right now. Do you realize I know people who will cry themselves to sleep at night if this is all they got in terms of the views and attention on a video they uploaded today? Because they're not valuing the fact that 100 people is 100 human beings that they had an impact on that said yes to them. Do you realize how many people go through their life feeling rejected every day and would literally do anything to have a tenth of this room accept them and give them 5 minutes of praise and attention and acknowledgement? So again, do not get caught up in the numbers. Get caught up in context. Get caught up on what is the actual value of what your video is. Is this value in the form of entertaining a specific type of person? Because that could matter. I'm not going to disregard entertainment. It's like entertainment got me through a pretty rough childhood getting beat up at the bus stop every day. You know, thank God for Power Rangers. So, you know, that's real. But I also got value out of, reading Rainbow. I got value out of any number of other things. And there were things that either entertained me, educated me, and inspired me. And that is the main core content of YouTube. And that's something that you really should think about. Where do you fit? Are you fitting in entertainment? Are you fitting in education? Are you fitting in inspiration and motivation and driving people to action? Really just think about that and think about what your specific niche is. Are you a real estate agent? And if you are, is your goal to help other realtors, or is it to help the buyers? Is it to help sellers? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to make different forms of content to help all three of those people? Think about it. That's what context is, and that's what you need to think about with what are the unique qualities that you have to bring to the table. And by the way, these slides are going to be available. I'm going to put them up on SlideShare probably today, so you can hit me up in LinkedIn and you can get access to everything. But that being said, what new thing do you bring to the table? Even if it's something that's already been done, can you take another angle? Can you dissect it from multiple angles? Can you present it in an interesting way? Can you make it more fun and accessible to a different group of people? Because that's important. Do you have the ability to connect with people on an emotional level about something that is usually intellectualized? Because that could make it something that they just never got because no one tried to reach them and everybody just went with the jargon, or everyone went with the established thing because they thought, gee, you know what? I have to do this and I have to do it in a suit and tie, or I have to do this and I have to put on a lab coat, or no one will respect the information. And what they might have done is just alienated people who are intellectually curious, but that just feels too intimidating for them, and it feels like you're speaking above them or you're talking down to them. You could bring something home for people if you just change the perspective in which they're viewing it and consuming it. And it really does matter. It makes a difference. You could change lives that way. So let's talk about those core things on YouTube. I really could do this presentation without slides, but I know people love slides, right? The core things on YouTube, and YouTube has said this themselves: hub, help, and hero content. What does that mean? Hub content is for the audience you already have, for the community that you're already building. It has a high level of emotional value. A good example of this is vlogs. Vlogs are personalized and they are predicated on personality and experiences. Help content is probably the most accessible thing for the far majority of people here, and I recommend that regardless of what niche or genre you're going into, that you start with help content, because help content is something that people search for. It's search engine friendly, so now it has a built-in audience, because hub content's great when people know who you are and they care about you. But how do they do that? You have to give them upfront value first. So I tell a lot of YouTubers that you could start with help content. And here's the funny thing. There's a way to tap into help content even if you're an entertainer. If you're a family vlogger and you're like, well, how do I do that and everything like that? You could literally just document the experience of teaching your kid to tie their shoes. Because that's like almost every kid's favorite episode of whatever childhood sitcom they watch, is where a parent is taking the time to teach a kid something for the first time, whether it's riding a bike, first shave, tying the tie, like how to stand up for themselves, like whatever that episode is with a parent and child learning an experience together, is usually that child's favorite episode or something, or it's that family's favorite memory whenever they look back years from now. So you could even, as an entertainer and as somebody with that story as a family vlogger, you could always tap into help content by just sharing the experience of how you actually help someone in your family through something or help them learn or discover something. So you can still tap into this, you just have to actually be creative. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't think, oh, gee, I'll just combine these two things or take a different approach. There are plenty of examples of things that are hub, help, and hero content. So with help content, it's search engine friendly. It's something people would type into Google and YouTube. How to grow a YouTube channel, how to tie a tie, how to dig a hole in Florida, how to dig how to build a pillow fort, like whatever it is. You could actually tap into that. Now, hero content is content that is usually, and it has a lot of different variations to it, it's content that has viral potential, as the kids say. And so that's a video that could get a lot of traction, can get a lot of social shares, could maybe even be picked up by media outlets. Something I'll tell you that is one of the probably most closely guarded secrets in YouTube is that external traffic is more valuable in YouTube than anything else. Meaning that if your content were to get picked up by a trusted media organization and it's driving traffic to your YouTube video, that channel and that video has a much better chance of going viral or getting an abnormal amount of views for what it would normally get, or an abnormal amount of views for your channel size. So if you could get a publication that's either in your niche or industry, or a main media publication outlet, Huffington Post, Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., BuzzFeed, anything of that nature to pick up your content, that's a gateway for you. You had a question, sir?
Well, I was going to say, give me an example.
Just did it. So that's that. But the thing about that is there are only so many videos that a media outlet is going to probably prioritize or is going to get their attention in a certain amount of time. And the main thing that people do is they tap into a trend, or they look at something that might be going on in Twitter or in pop culture, in the news, or something of that nature. And that's usually what will do it. And that's where people do what they call commentary. It's where they give their opinion, and it's not an expert opinion, but the great thing about it is that it's the opinion of the everyday average person. And the thing is, a news organization or a media outlet would have usually had to deploy resources, have a man or woman on the street walking around with a microphone and a camera, and that's a pain in the butt to do. But if you could just go to the internet and people are just giving you that for free, and it's right there, and all you have to do is embed it or link to it, well, that's gravy for them. That is fantastic, and so that's why they do it. So that opportunity exists. If you know what media outlets are working in your niche, or even better, if you're a contributing writer for a media outlet or a publication, even if you write for free, the thing everyone hates to do, work for free, right? If you have access as a contributor to a publication in your niche, and you have YouTube content, you've just become exponentially more valuable as a relationship, and you've just got an opportunity to siphon a ton of free traffic that will trigger the YouTube algorithm for you. So again, that is one of the most closely guarded secrets probably in the YouTube community, but in my opinion, it's never been a secret. It's always just been common sense, but there you have it. So you have hub, help, and hero content. Hero content is what a lot of people want to go to the YouTube spaces and the YouTube studio to produce. You could do it on your own because it doesn't always have to be highly produced content, or you can partner with a brand if it needs to be, and sometimes they can help with resources. Sometimes hero content is just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Sometimes hero content is something like what my friend Sarah Dici did. She jumped out of a airplane skydiving, but she did it with a new Samsung 360 camera, and so it was one of the only 360 experiences like that. Other people have done that with roller coasters, other people have done that with scuba diving. So when you have a unique once in a lifetime or an abnormal experience that you can share or do something really dynamic, that has viral potential. And sometimes that's also what happens, and people break out with videos when they do product unboxings because it's one of the newest products, they got it early, or they went to a trade show and they reviewed it hands-on. That's an opportunity. I actually beat most of the big tech YouTubers to doing a review of the Microsoft Surface Studio when it first came out because I was at Adobe Max. And that video, it didn't go viral or anything, but I think within a 2-week period, it got like 250,000 views, which was abnormal for my channel. And at the time, my channel was much smaller. I think I had just crossed 100,000 subscribers at that time. So those kind of things can be game-changing for you. Visuals matter. Yep. And I'm going to make sure I leave some room for Q&A, so I'm going to power through some of these. Visuals really matter. One of the most important things on YouTube is a thumbnail. And this is kind of a breakdown of the visuals that do matter on YouTube. Channel artwork is your YouTube channel banner and header. What you should be doing with this is, a lot of people are very lazy about this and they throw up anything. I think that if you have a committed upload schedule, you should put that on the banner. I think you should put the context of what you do. Maybe if there's 3 things you do, you say, hey, I do this type of video, this type of video, this type of video, 3 bullet points, and then what day of the week you upload. I think that those things definitely matter, because then if someone's coming to your channel, they were recommended, they know what you're about. It is packaging. The YouTube thumbnail is a promise. It's like, what is this video about? What does it tell a story? I know people who spend 8 hours producing a video and they spend 8 seconds producing a thumbnail, and then they wonder why they're not getting views. Gee, I wonder what it could be. Crappy packaging on a good product doesn't sell. It's just the truth. That's why Apple spends a lot of time making really great packaging and fantastic aesthetic on products that aren't always the best. Yeah, so there's that. Hashtag shade. So motion graphics. Motion graphics are little animated things that can fly in. Sometimes those motion graphics, they can be simple. They can just be text that flies in. They just visually kind of refresh and keep people moving along, especially if you're just standing talking directly to camera. Having text or an image fly in every now and again helps kind of refresh it mentally for the audience. So that helps. YouTube end cards. These are end screens at the end of a YouTube video that can promote your other YouTube videos. You can drive people to playlists. You can drive people off YouTube to your website. If you're in business, driving people off YouTube to your website is fantastic. But if you're trying to grow a YouTube channel, hold off on that in the beginning if your goal is growth. If you want to accelerate getting to your first 10,000 subscribers or first 1,000 subscribers, keep people on YouTube longer and as long as possible. That is an algorithm thing. Hold them on YouTube for those first uploads. But if you're using YouTube to supplement your business and marketing, then use it as a traffic funnel and take people off. Understand it can hurt your growth and slow it down. Algorithmically, YouTube favors content that keeps people on YouTube and increases their sessions longer, just like in the Google days. Those of you who are podcasters and know that you're looking at your page retention rates, then guess what? In your Google Analytics, YouTube is owned by Google. Hint, hint, you can reverse engineer all these Google things and apply it to YouTube. That's what I did in the very beginning. That's why being a web designer kind of helped. So I would take advantage of YouTube end cards and promote other videos that are related to the video they just watched. YouTube also can use its algorithm to recommend a video that they might be more likely to watch. They have a thing called Best for Viewer, and so you can do that. Watermarks are just like they sound like for those of you who've ever used a camera. It's just putting your branding on there. And then of course your profile pic is just context. I recommend a pic that is flattering of you and smiling, and if you're a business, you can either go with your logo or something that creates context. Just make it visually appealing. To help with that, this just kind of puts things into context for you. I mean, these are my YouTube thumbnails, and you can tell that I have a graphic design and photography background because they're aesthetically pleasing, they make sense for what the video is, and they're informative, and they can draw you in. They're clickable. I think of YouTube in the way that I thought of billboards when I was in advertising. YouTube does have a hidden variable in it called click-through rate. Those of you who are familiar with anything with Google understand how important click-through rates are. Any of you who have run ads understand how important click-through rates are. YouTube will never disclose to you what your click-through rates is based on how your videos were distributed in front of people and then what percentage of them clicked on them. But I guarantee you it matters, which means you have to do everything in your power within your ethics to get the click. Do not fall to the dark side and reduce yourself to like scammy clickbait. I'll come after you personally if you do. Like the Terminator. I was a runner. I'll just come after you T-1000 style. But do everything else to drive those clicks. Make sure you have an emotionally satisfying, interesting thumbnail that shows some intent and some effort that might also reveal that, well, this is going to be a quality video when I click on it. I hate when I click on a video and it's amazing in terms of the quality, but the thumbnail was like so bad that I just ended up like clicking on it just to see how bad this is, and it turns out it's really well produced. But like, wow, you have gold here. You literally have a gold bar and you wrapped it in like dirty newspaper. Why would you do that? Are you trying to hide this from me? Are you trying to bury it? Like, if it's actual gold, that makes sense. But when it's content that you kind of want to get views on, why are you like completely misleading and undermining your content? It's like you were working harder not to get views. So just keep that in mind. Here's an example of what a good thumbnail can do for you. You'll notice that these are, by the way, all great YouTube creators, and I've watched their stuff and they're great. But I brought up one of my videos because this is a video that the first 2 days got 3,000 views and that's it. 3,000 views in the first 2 days, but within a year it went to over 1 million. It's like 1.3 million now. And it got majority of that 6 months after I uploaded it. A good thumbnail, because I didn't, like when the first 2 days, I didn't use that thumbnail. I went back and I optimized everything. I did a new thumbnail strategy. I updated the video, and in 6 months, it pretty much got 1 million views. It didn't do bad on views before that. It did about maybe 60, 80,000 views in those 6 months. But then it stacked another 1 million on top of it with some simple changes, mostly to the thumbnail and a little bit to the SEO, the optimization. This guy you guys might be familiar with, Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat has a different approach to thumbnails than me because he has a background in filmmaking and photography. He still makes his stuff trigger emotional curiosity, intellectual curiosity. It's like, I have to see what's on the other side of this picture. But a picture's worth 1,000 words, so he utilizes that and takes advantage of that. And he also does very compelling titles. The titles are a promise. The titles are an enticement. They're an invitation. They're a call to adventure. So you really need to prioritize thumbnails and titles. Here's an example of a good thumbnail I did to show you like, oh, well, here's something graphically that I did regarding an Instagram tutorial. And you can see that there are a lot of really good design qualities to that, and it puts it in context and it tells you exactly what it is. There's no ambiguity there. And the text is big enough for you to read even at the back of the room. And if it was like on a small screen, if it was on your cell phone, the thing that so many people watch their stuff on now, you'd be able to read that visibly and clearly. So that's all intentional. You have to put thought into that. There are a lot of you here who are like, Roberto, I get it. And you talk about visuals a lot. I suck at thumbnails. I suck at graphic design, and I am not the person who has that skill set. I get it. I appreciate that. So one of the things I did was I created my own product, something I will talk about in the YouTube monetization session this afternoon that I would encourage more of you to do. I created something called the YouTube Starter Kit. And I'm not going to do like a hard and fast sell for you guys here. The point is, I did create a 20% discount for this if you guys are interested in it at all for being here at Podfest. And so that's something I wanted to do for you guys. After you do a launch, I'm not the biggest fan of you like cutting your own money by discounting your products. So it's one of the things I'm going to tell you, do as I say, not do as I do in this. Keep all of your money after you launch a product, but I just kind of like throwing discounts around. So especially when like great people like, like Chris and Alex invite me to go to an event, I like to give something back to the attendees. So what I did with the YouTube Starter Kit was I created over 100 Photoshop files, and you can use something like photop.com if you don't want to pay for Photoshop, and it's basically free Photoshop in a web browser. You can open up all the Photoshop PSD files, and basically what it does is I created thumbnails based on like all the popular YouTube channels, all the viral video content. I did good channel artwork, and literally all you'd have to do is plug in a photo that you want to use that you already have or that's a picture of you and change the text, and all of a sudden you have a thumbnail that is click worthy. And it's literally something you can do in like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and not have to be a graphic designer to accomplish it. So I did that, and I created like a bunch of other resources, and I just pretty much set that up for you guys. So 20% discount if you use the code PODFEST, and you can take advantage of that. And so that's at awesomecreatoracademy.com. Now, research is something that I think is something that nobody in YouTube does very well except the people who are growing and the people who built their entire channel based on their ability to do that very well, which is like the far minority of people. But research really matters. You have to understand who your audience is, what resonates with them if you want to grow on YouTube. Because a lot of people, like I said, they'll do the content that they want to do and hope and pray that the YouTube gods favor them, and it doesn't work. The YouTube gods are very spiteful. So the best thing you can do for yourself is do research. There are 3 tools that I highly recommend for you guys: TubeBuddy, vidIQ, and Morning Fame. These are your saviors, and these programs will advocate for the YouTube gods for you. So I would recommend you take advantage of them because that's going to help you with creating search-friendly titles. You could literally plug that in and you will get some recommendations. It's going to help you with your keyword research. It's going to basically take all of that technical aspect of it out of the equation if you use these 3 tools. So I would take advantage of that. In terms of searching for your titles and topics, you should also look at your competition and look at, well, I see a lot of this, but maybe I don't see anyone doing it this way or that way. Don't be afraid of the fact that you're not doing something original. Just don't copy anyone, but do your version of it because there's a demand. And the thing is, the reason people might keep making videos about it is because maybe just because something got a lot of views, it doesn't necessarily mean they got it right. It just means that that was just all that was available at the time until somebody else did it. Remember, the video that I did that got 1 million views, there were plenty of bigger channels than me that had a lot of views on that before, and I beat them in the rankings. The other thing I want to tell you is that you can outrank channels with millions of subscribers. I've done it from day one. I've been able to use SEO and these tools to rank and to beat people 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times bigger than me. So don't get discouraged by that. Generating content ideas. You can demonstrate your skills, you can communicate your experience, you can answer frequently asked questions, you can talk about your life and your circumstances, you could even crowdsource, go directly to social media and ask people what they're thinking about, what they're feeling about, and you can make a video that's in a response to that. You can tap into things that are happening in the real world and current events. You could literally just unbox something. Like, there's any number of things you can do. So generating content ideas, a lot of people tell me, I don't know what to make, Roberto. Do something that you understand and that you know very well and that you actually care about, and the rest will probably take care of itself. This slide is something that you're gonna wanna look at a lot later, but I actually covered the far majority of it in the entire presentation. The one thing that I will add that is here that I really think makes sense is 2 things. Tap into live streams and figure out a format for presenting live streams because you can get donations via Super Chat, but it also helps you with watch time, the thing YouTube cares about in the algorithm. How long are people watching you? And the other thing I will say is use other social media platforms to distribute your content, but don't abuse it and don't be spammy. But this content strategy slide is going to be available to you in the LinkedIn presentation. I'm also going to see if the conference can actually distribute it to you guys via email as well, so you don't have to hunt me down in LinkedIn. But I'm Roberto Blake everywhere in social media. You can find me. It's not hard. Content that connects. There's usually a couple of ways you can connect with people. If you want to convert, especially for those of you who are in business. Reviews, reveals, and resources. If you're a business, consider reviewing things that you use in your business every single day and revealing what your process is. Consider talking to people about the resources that are required to get started in the niche that you're in, whether you're doing something technical, whether you're doing something business related, whether you're doing something that's beauty or fashion, or even healthy living or lifestyle. There's always some product you can review, there's always some process you can reveal, and there's always some kind of resource that you use on a regular basis. So use that content to connect with people, and you can always tie those to some form of conversion, some way of making money. Content's about what we communicate, and this is gonna wrap up here. Content's about what we communicate. What are you doing to produce value for the other person? What are you doing to matter to them, to be someone meaningful in their life? Are you educating them? Are you entertaining them? Are you inspiring them? What about you does that? Is it the life that you lived? Is it your story? Is it your expertise? Is it the fact that you are relatable to them because you share something in common? Really think about what you communicate to people and be intentional about that with YouTube. The biggest mistake a lot of people make is they do things without being thoughtful. And I'm not just talking about the biggest mistake in YouTube, I'm talking about the biggest mistake in the world is that people do things and they're not acting purposefully. Do everything with intention, do everything with forethought, do everything with like your whole heart invested in the idea that this represents you. This is part of your legacy. Content is going to possibly outlive you and represent to people who you actually are. So really think about that before you commit to uploading. A lot of people, a lot of big YouTubers should probably take note of that one. I don't know. I heard some things happened recently, probably could have been avoided. Amplify your content. Social media, you can use social media to amplify your content. Twitter is probably the secret society of YouTube. Facebook is not as good of a partner as it used to be. It's all pay to play now. And I think that also people are dramatically underestimating LinkedIn. I also think people aren't realizing that Facebook groups are a great community to engage with your audience. And if you need to farm ideas and you need to have community with your audience, you should take advantage of that. For those of you who are in the podcast community, you should really think about Discord a lot more. And those of you who have podcasts, consider not just using Patreon for your YouTube channel, but use Patreon to get donations from your podcast audience and give them perks and rewards. And I think that that's something that could be really helpful for you, not only from a great monetization standpoint, but also for building real community with your audience and helping them amplify your content. You can get so much by asking for your audience to share in social media, and it goes a long way. Because again, your audience might have an audience of their own, and that could immediately amplify your content, but you have to ask for it. You can't assume they're gonna give it to you. Engagement matters. We just talked about what your audience can do for you, but always ask what more you can do for them. They will tell you what content they want. They will tell you what's working for them. They will tell you what's not. Believe me, they will tell you what they like and what they don't like, and they will be very vocal and they will be very adamant about it. Sometimes even when you don't ask. So just keep that in mind. So I've got a ton of resources for you. This slide is going to be available, like I said, in SlideShare. We're going to try and get it to you guys via email, but these are a lot of resources. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that from my core community of my most loyal followers in YouTube that follow me in other social media, I built a membership group, basically a mastermind of creatives and entrepreneurs, even outside of YouTube. And that's what we're doing with the mentoring program at awesomecreatoracademy.com. But also my community taught me what their vulnerabilities were, what they needed, and then I started making products and services so that I could help them better and serve them. And I feel like it was one of the most practical things I ever did, but I also feel it's one of the things I'm most proud of, because I got to communicate and connect with them and hear all these interesting success stories and the impact and the difference I made. And I want to encourage all of you that in the same way that you are reaching people and they're hearing you with your podcast, they could resonate and connect with you with video, because it's the next best thing to being with you in person. It's the next best thing, especially if they can do it live and they can see how authentic and how much you actually care about the community. And so I would encourage all of you, if you thought that it's too late to start YouTube, or you thought you're too old to be on YouTube, or it's just for kids, understand that there are people just like you. They're looking for answers, they're looking for community, they're looking for someone to relate to, or for someone to just listen to them and to offer them something, anything. And I think that one of the greatest things about the era we live in is that we have so much freedom of choice of who we connect with. We can choose, and many of us have chosen to be here with Chris and Alex and so many others and Tyler. We chose to come from all over the country, all over the world, and decide to take a virtual relationship and make it a real one. And that's why we're all here today. And I think that this can give you an opportunity. I feel like this and other platforms can give you an opportunity to have that for yourself and to be with the people that you really connect with, not just the people that you happen to arbitrarily be stuck in a room with at any given time. We get to choose what room we're in now in a whole new way, and we get to build relationships and connections that really matter. And I think that that's just, I think it's just an amazing time. Again, I'll reiterate what I said earlier. I just feel it's never been a better time to be a creator. I think it's never been a better time to be alive. So guys, thank you for being awesome.
Awesome, great job.
I went over. I guess we don't have a bunch of time for Q&A or anything. We do? Oh, thank God.
I can see light bulbs going off. So Nathan, you want the first question? If you have a question, raise your hand and I'll head over.
All right, awesome.
Go ahead, Nathan.
When using non-royalty free music, so like mainstream music that you want to mix into your YouTube video, is that a complete no-go? Or what?
I would say it is, because here's what I'll say. Why do you want to do that?
Because I can subliminally use music that has language patterns in the songs to appeal to certain demographics.
So can you not accomplish that with something royalty free or something you make yourself? Because here's the thing, if you're that into music, and it sounds like are you into music?
Not really.
Not really?
I'm a copywriter. I just know what people like.
You know what people like. Here's the thing I will say about that is that there's a lot of music that ends up in memes that, like, it's not royalty, it's not popular music, but it's like we all know it. Like we all start hearing like this sad violin music and none of us have any idea who produced it, right? It's like everybody like knows that like cringy dun 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 music that Instagram has, and that's like royalty free. No one
So even like a 10-second clip that's in.
If you don't care about ad revenue, or you don't care about the fact that a big media company might just decide to take the video down, absolutely go for it. But there's a real good chance that thanks to the copyright system that we've gotten due to the 2008 through 2013 litigation from Viacom, like
Will they shut down the ad revenue on just that video or the whole?
they'll take the ad revenue for that particular video, but they might issue a copyright strike against that video, and 3 strikes, you're out.
Okay, one more question, sorry. When you embed a video on another site and you put it on autoplay, I've noticed you don't get credit for as many of the views. Is there a way around that, or do you recommend just never autoplay when embedding on blogs?
It depends on what your goal is, because if your goal is to use that video to convert and you need to use it like as a video, almost like a video advertisement for something you're doing brand-wise, then you do it. It's like make everything, there's no silver bullet answer to any of these things beyond it's about the intent that you have and what goal you're trying to accomplish. So if you're gonna sell something, autoplay. If not, maybe not.
All right, we and I'll come to you, Jeanette. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm curious about titles, the channel title,
Yes.
numbers versus actually spelling out the number.
So it's based on the audience and what you think is going to get the most visual impact. Sometimes I think that visual impact wise, the numbers can do it if it's a certain type of number, but especially if it has like a $ in front of it, so that makes sense. But if it's something like the word 1 million, spelling it out but putting it in all caps probably visually is more impactful. So the thing is, you want to use psychological hacks of typography and visual recognition in that case, not worry about the algorithm.
All right, Jeanette.
Oh, awesome presentation. I have 2 questions. So one is, what has been one of your biggest traffic drivers to your YouTube channel for subscribers? And then also, do you have an invitation code for Morning Fame?
Okay, so yes, I have an invitation code for Morning Fame. I need to make like a shortcut URL for it, which I'll get around to, but it's also in some of my YouTube videos, and if you connect with me on Twitter, I'll just hook you up. So for those of you who like want that, hit me up in Twitter or DM me on Instagram, and I'll hook you up with any of the codes or discounts or any of the tools that you want. As for the traffic generation, I based the fact that I wanted less to grow so much as I wanted intentionally to reach a specific type of demographic. I based a lot of my thesis of YouTube on organic search engine traffic, which meant that I went to making topical search-friendly videos and optimizing the heck out of them. But if I were somebody and I was starting, say, today, the tactic that I would use is I would research my niche, I would make connections and figure out what social media people and what platforms might be able to give me a little bit of a boost, but I would also start with releasing a 5-part series, like back-to-back all at once that I pre-shot, filmed, and edited day after day for week 1, and then I might not upload every single day, but at least I have a finished 5-part series that's episodic content, so I can stack views, watch time, and repeat viewership and set an expectation and launch my channel that way instead of launching with a single video. So if you want to create a traffic funnel, think intentionally, because if you want a traffic funnel for a product, you wouldn't settle for just having one way for someone to get to your product to make a sale. You would have multiple points of distribution. You would have 10 pieces of content. You'd have like 5 lead magnets. You'd have, like, so don't skimp on YouTube, and don't like approach it the same way, because I think you should value every single video in the same way that you would value an individual SKU number as far as inventory from a retail scenario.
Okay, we got 2 more questions. Second, go ahead.
I work with a lot of people who create Facebook videos like ad nauseum, almost too much. But a lot of them can download those videos and save them. What do you think about them taking that video that they've now created and I guess, optimizing it, but using it on YouTube.
If it's a Facebook live stream, I don't necessarily recommend repurposing the content there because the context and culture of the platforms are different. Always respect the context of the platform you're in. However, you could take a video like that, and it depends on what the nature of it is. If it's a video that's motivational in nature, you could probably get away with it. You could probably get away with chopping that up into 30-second clips and putting that on Instagram too, and that's been done. And it's very effective. But generally speaking, respect the context of platform and avoid the temptation of too much repurposing if it avoids context. I would rather see that person if they think that something that they did on Facebook was that good, unless it was made as an edited, produced video that would be good anywhere, then that's fine to put that in Facebook and to put that in YouTube and to upload them natively. I don't have an issue with that. I would say even go further and upload them to LinkedIn as well. I'm not going to romanticize any individual platform. That's why I don't get crushed when the platforms change. So my answer to that is, if it fits the type of demographic that you also are seeking on YouTube and it would be acceptable as a video experience anywhere, you can. If not, and this might be an individual granular thing with each client, vetting that and making a call on there, because otherwise they're going to have expectations that performs the same way, and it ain't going to happen.
All right, last question for this session. Go ahead, Nick.
Hey Roberto, I'm Nick Snap. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Now I'm glad that I do.
Yeah. And by the way, I'll be around, guys, so if anybody didn't get a question, I'll be around.
I have a similar question about Facebook. So you covered Hub and Help and Hero. I did I'm doing a 4-hour live stream. It's a talk show type thing. It's a very polarizing subject. And I just put it up on Facebook. It's called Miracles and Atheists, where these two different people together for a respectful dialogue. And
I love that you're doing something that's unexpected, rogue, it contrasts, but it also seems like it's intentionally bringing people together to have, like you said, a conversation, a dialogue.
Absolutely.
It can be big.
Yeah, that's kind of sort of my life, doing that kind of stuff. But so is that the best platform? I just did it because it was easy, and I'm on Facebook, and it did pretty well. But I'm like,
the first thing that's a warning sign to you is the fact that you said, oh, well, it's easy.
Yeah.
That's the first warning sign. It's like, you strike me as, like, I have an instinct that, like, I mean, you're saying that easy, but I don't think that's who you are. I think you're a gladiator.
No, I'm a perfectionist, man.
Yeah, I think you're I think you're a gladiator. I want you to climb the mountain, and the thing is, I want you to understand that even if you only get halfway up the mountain, you're still not soft like the person who took a helicopter and took the selfie at the top. So
No, I'm not.
exactly. So like, I want you to take the climb, and what I want you to do is steal this strategy. I want you to chop up segments from your 4-hour videos from that. I want you to chop up segments, but I want you to film a dedicated intro for this whole thing from YouTube. Okay. Remind people that you're doing this over on Facebook Live if they want to be part of the live experience, and then chop up an intro, a bunch of these recaps, and release this and serialize it as the recaps for people who missed out on the live and weren't able to be a part of it. And then your YouTube channel then is an aggregate of the archive in a searchable, accessible way, but produce an edited, polished intro that reminds people the live experiences on Facebook, the replays and recaps are on YouTube, and chop it up into more consumable chunks and upload those and set like a frequency of uploads for that. Don't just upload all of them at once. Do that. And that is a practical way to repurpose your content, and it's not lazy because you're also curating an experience and saying, we're live here, we're archived over here. And also, now you will get demonetized on YouTube with this content. That is a given. Come back to my session this afternoon, though, on how to make money on YouTube for real. Right. But you need to tie this, I think, to some type of motivational product line and conversation starters in the form of merchandise.
Well,
and
for me, I want to make it into a movie, actually. So that's kind of.
But I think that you do both, because when you have merchandise and product placement that you're building in, that's easier to monetize, and you can get awareness out for when you go film-wise on this movie. And then by building that YouTube community and the Facebook community concurrently, you have multiple ways to launch the multiple trailers that you should do and build awareness. And you also have a body of work to shop around for investment. See, this is the thing I really love is biz dev, is like everybody comes to me for growth hacks, and all I want to do is make people money. So, yeah.
Guys, let's give Roberto Blake a round of applause. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate it so much.
And
Thank
he's
you.
going to be talking about monetization after lunch. We have a separate session.